said, just at the end of that clip there, you have Alameen in there, and the people that he's working off of are people of the caliber of Adam Shelley, Colin Carroll, Colin Adolphs, and I think Thomas Fogarty was in there
Ryan
at the beginning
Shelley
as well. Or Ryan Shelley. So you've got guys who are all world champions, world silver medalists, and so on. They're all at the one level, and they're able to push each other to a particular degree, and that's really useful. But we also have just, this as a concept of you actually do need different types of training partners to really fully develop. So do you want to explain, Richie, what we mean by that particular one?
Yeah, so when I was thinking of this one, again, it just kind of reverts back to my own experience now starting jiu-jitsu as a white belt. So when I'm rolling with people who are high level, for example, rolling with my coach who is a brown belt pushing black, it's just the gap there in skill and experience is massive. So for me to be able to pull off things, the timing is different. He's able to read things much quicker. So it's very difficult for me to improve if I stay in that scenario. But the beauty of that is that if we have a little discussion afterwards, you start to pick up things really quickly. So if you can work with people who are a higher level than you, and you can have discussions about how things went and what you're seeing, what you're experiencing, you will learn massively, okay, and you'll progress at a really good level. So that's one type of training partner that's necessary. Then if we have another training partner who you're kind of at the same level as, that's fantastic, because you can push each other, you learn things, you say, okay, this is working, this is not working, and you can adjust. And then you can have people as well who maybe you're just that step above, and where you can try things where you won't get, there's not a big consequence if things go wrong compared to somebody at the same level, and of course somebody who's at a much higher level than you. So ideally when you're starting, you should be looking to get a mix of these three sparring partners, and not even when you start, always really. So the people that you work with are going to push you on, so you don't want to just be staying with if you want to improve, work with people who are a slightly lower level and try things, and then you progressively add resistance up to that top level where you need to be competing with people that are the same level, and then of course the ultimate level of where you want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, just a quick recap on the thinking behind that as well is, if you're a beginner, complete beginner, well, most beginners have a beginner mindset and they don't expect anything when they go to spar. They expect everybody to be better than them. So it doesn't hurt your ego or your feelings when you're not getting the successes that you might like to. But then you get to a point where you've learned a little bit, and then we often see it with like the green blue belts, where they try to win every training, and you can't win anything at training. So training is training, and it's very important that when we understand what we're doing when we spar at training, we are still being cooperative to some degree. Like we want to adjust the difficulty or the challenge or the resistance to make it beneficial to both. So as you said, if you're sparring someone who's better than you, you can't expect to do well, but you might set yourself an achievable challenge, or you might look for, what am I learning from what's the other person seeing? I can pull on their experience. At the same level, right, now we can test something under pressure. We can see, is it working the way I want it to work? We can have an equal opportunity for success. And when you said that, like when you're training with someone who's not quite as good as you, you can challenge yourself to do something you're not as comfortable with, experience a little bit more success, but also you're helping that other person because they're getting an easier read, they're getting something that they can more easily interact with. So you're actually helping everybody under each circumstance. And I think that's really, really important to do, and to get into that mindset straight away that training is training. It's about getting better. Sparring is about putting points on the board and finishing with more than your opponent, and they're quite different.
Definitely. And like some people don't have the luxury of having multiple training partners. So maybe you have only somebody to work with who is much lower level than you, and that's a good way that you can train with that person and both of you can still progress. Whereas like you said, where you work on something specifically where you're not at your peak, while the person who's at that lower level also has an opportunity to compete.